नहीं दोनों हाँ।
एक फेसबुक के एक यूट्यूब।
थोड़ी देर में आएगी। आ गई। अबे
Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Irresistible है ये taste. Best Coke ever? Taste करके देखो.
Been achieved by you being in India?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, obviously here in Goa, but particularly on your show, India Today. I like the opportunity to speak through you to the Indian people. As far as the success of my visit, well, the aim of my visit was to attend the SCO, of which Pakistan is a member, and to that end my visit has been successful. As far as Pakistan's position on bilateral relations with India or any meaningful engagement or dialogue with our Indian counterparts, our position remains unchanged. And that is that until India reviews the actions it took on August 5th, 2019, Pakistan is not in a position to engage bilaterally with India.
No, that's your unchanged position. Our position is equally firm. Terror and talks don't go together. And until Pakistan is seen to actively do enough to stop cross-border terrorism, to sponsor terror outfits like the Jaish and Lashkar, we can't talk with Pakistan. So it seems, therefore, that the two countries are in, as I said, a deep freeze. How do you respond to India's position? You cannot have terror and talks coexist.
So as far as India's position is concerned, terrorism isn't anything new. It's an old challenge, and despite having to face this challenge, we have had on and off talks. So as far as being a consistent position, I don't quite know how consistent it is. As far as the issue of terrorism, Pakistan wants to deal with terrorism not because India says so or the Indian government said so, but because we want to end this menace. It has caused the largest number of casualties amongst any of the SCO nations present here today. Pakistan has suffered the most casualties. I myself stand here before you today, a victim of terrorism. So Pakistan and myself are wholly committed to combating this menace. As far as accusations are concerned, we are ready and willing to engage and address any concerns that India might have, but India would also have to address our concerns. India would have to explain what Kulbhushan Yadav, not a non-state actor, a state actor, a Navy commander, was doing in Pakistan, carrying out terrorist attacks on Pakistan soil. Does that not come under cross-border terrorism?
Can I just stop you, Mr. Foreign Minister,
If you allow me to complete,
yes.
and then
Yeah, sure.
of course that's one such complaint. Then of course we all know the incident of Samjhota Express, where we are yet to see justice. The Lahore incident, terror attack that I presented the dossier before the United Nations. All those questions need to be answered.
You know, I can go on and give you a long list of Pakistani involvement in terror attacks that dates back to the Mumbai blasts of 1993, through what happened in our parliament, through Pathankot, through Pulwama, through Uri, even to Poonch 3 weeks ago. The fact is, the evidence that Pakistan provides, whether it's about a Kulbhushan Yadav, whether it's about a Lahore the terror attack, has not been backed by international agencies. In the case of Pakistan, we've seen Mr. Bhutto Zardari.
It's so
the fact is that
such a senior,
let's be very clear, that this is backed by credible evidence.
I see. Would you allow me to respond, or would you continue?
No, these are credible evidence.
Sure.
I was in Clifton where you live, and Dawood Ibrahim, responsible for the attacks of 93, still continues to live there. Hafiz Saeed, no action, credible action taken for 2611. Masood Azhar for Parliament, for Pulwama. So we can give you a long list of evidence.
The point is, while you claim to have a long list, you refuse to accept that Pakistan has any legitimate concerns. For example, you were saying that the fact that we've caught Kulbhushan Yadav, we can show him to you. The fact that he was a Navy commander in the Indian Army is not a legitimate accusation. Then who is India to defend in Pakistani courts? Who is this man, Kulbhushan Yadav?
Who is Ajmal Kasab?
No,
who
but
was caught in the act
see,
of
I'm not
terror,
denying there's a Mumbai trial ongoing within Pakistan. The reason that trial has not progressed is because India is refusing to produce the witnesses necessary for us to take that case forward. If you compare that with the Samjhota Express attack, over there everyone was acquitted.
We've sent
But
you
seen
voluminous evidence of 2611, Mr. Foreign
Sir,
Minister.
I'm not
Surely-
doubting that you've
surely,
sent.
you know, you
I'm
don't
not
want to-
doubting that you've sent evidence.
You want to live in denial. This is the problem.
This is not denial. This is the problem. The problem is I'm being very clear with you. I'm speaking with facts and I'm speaking rationally and unemotionally. But you were getting quite hyper. And I would like to suggest that if
I
we are
lost
to
friends, sir, in 2611. With due regards, perhaps,
Sir,
just as you said
you-
today, in
I'm
fact,
not-
in your speech, that your mother died in an assassination
So
by a
surely,
terrorist. We've all
if you
suffered.
lost friends at the Mumbai attack, you too would like to see the conclusion of the Mumbai trial.
Yes.
So perhaps you will take it up with the government in India that in order to conclude the Mumbai trial, India should consider sending the witnesses necessary in a court of law. We have a very similar legal system in India and Pakistan.
We provided you voluminous evidence,
Sir,
Mr.
you
Foreign
can
Minister.
provide as many pieces of paper as you will like, but as your legal system works, so does mine. And in your legal system, along with those pieces of paper, you have to provide witnesses in order for a case to go forward. So until we have that sort of cooperation from the Indian side, this case cannot conclude. Now that I have shared with you my position on the Mumbai case that is sub judice and ongoing, could you perhaps enlighten me that on the Samjhota attack that took place in 2007, where Pakistanis lost their lives, why it is that India has been unable to hold anybody accountable for that terrorist incident on Indian soil that resulted in Pakistani lives lost?
Sir, the fact is, India has prosecuted all its terror cases under the rule of law. We even gave Ajmal Kasab, who was caught in a terror attack, the due process of law. But let me come to your response. Today, at the SCO, you said, let's collectively eradicate the menace of terrorism. Let's not get caught up in weaponizing terrorism for diplomatic point scoring. With due regard, sir, when you say that, isn't it the responsibility of Pakistan, which globally has found itself in the corner for having sponsored terror, to first stop allowing its soil to be used for terror activities against India? Somewhere you've got to start. Otherwise, your words will sound hollow, with all due regard, Mr. Minister.
But sir, our words or our track record speaks for itself. We are the only country on the planet that has not completed one, but two financial action task force objectives, one on counter terror financing and one on money laundering. As far as the issue of terrorism is concerned, the numbers speak for themselves. You can take out the data between sort of 2006 up until 2014, Pakistan was in a very difficult situation vis-a-vis the activities of terrorists. We were facing terrorist attacks almost every other week, but precisely because the whole of the Pakistani state, across the political spectrum, sat together, came up with the necessary consensus that resulted in operations in South Waziristan, then in North Waziristan, and a national action plan, we managed to break the back of these terrorists. And unfortunately, you're caught in an old, stale perception about where Pakistan is on this issue. And I believe it would be more constructive if we engage on these topics, because I am saying this is a genuine issue for me. I understand that this is a genuine issue for India. I'm not denying the legitimacy of this concern. I'm just suggesting the way that you're engaging in trying to resolve this concern is not necessarily the most productive.
You're saying have an open dialogue. You will express your concerns, we will express your concerns, because today you argued that you, in your speech, that you felt the pain of terror because you lost your mother to an assassination by a terrorist. You then went on to say we must stop conflating non-state actors with state actors. But for that, sir, the state must act, Mr. Bhutto Zardari, in a non-partisan fashion against all terror. Absolutely. You can't sponsor terror directed against India and then fight terror within Pakistan or across the Durand with Afghanistan. Do you agree that, one man's terrorist cannot be another man's freedom fighter.
And that's our position. That's what I want you to do. I want you to break this fiction that has been fed to you, that we have a different perspective on this issue. I believe that this line of argument, this wolf whistling around the world terrorism, which is ultimately an Islamophobic wolf whistle, not only to whip up Hindu sentiment at home here in India, but also to browbeat Pakistan. That might be a good electioneering strategy for some, but it's certainly not an effective counter-terrorism strategy. What I'm trying to explain to you, that with better coordination, and I absolutely agree that not only us, but the international community needs to coordinate better vis-a-vis this topic, we can achieve far more than we have today. Pakistan has achieved in our fight against terrorism across the board. This doesn't serve our purpose, neither does it serve your purpose.
Why do groups like the Jaish and Lashkar continue to operate from terror camps within Pakistan? Show the world credible action. I mentioned Dawood Ibrahim, sir, because the fact is he lives in Clifton, which is where you live, and the fact is he's lived there since 1993 when the Mumbai blast took place. Act against him, hand him over to India, and maybe that will be the kind of gesture that breaks this frozen peace.
So, but the frozen peace is a result of the actions of the 5th August 2019, where India unilaterally violated not only international law, not only UN Security Council resolutions, but also bilateral agreements between India and Pakistan. If we are to have any engagement, if we are to have any dialogue, ultimately, presumably, that will lead to some sort of documentation, some sort of written agreement. And what trust can India and Pakistan have on India's commitment to bilateral agreements or even multilateral agreements? We've seen that they've treated, whether it is our bilateral arrangements or United Nations Security Council resolutions, is nothing less than a piece of paper.
You know, the fact is what happened on in August 2019 is an Indian internal issue. Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of this country.
You're an Oxford-educated individual.
Let's be very clear. You keep
know the
mentioning
position of international law.
You
know United Nations Security Council resolutions.
That's the third time you mentioned UN Security Council resolution. Those resolutions also call for Pakistani army to withdraw from POK, from Gilgit-Baltistan. Are you willing to do that?